I mean, moving forward, I was going to do some clips on Tiger. I'll be honest with you guys. I just couldn't bring myself to post those videos of Tiger Woods on this platform. I just couldn't do it, man. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't bring
Well,
myself to post Tiger.
I feel bad for him because he's had some horrendous back injuries, and without the right care, he's had a couple of surgeries. When he had that last wreck, it was like a compound fracture, I think, of one of the legs, and he's gone through all that. And the guy's in a lot of pain. It's just a matter of can they fix him to where he's not dependent on hydrocodone or oxycodone, because that's the problem. Oxycodone's like heroin.
Here's the deal. I talked to a few defense attorneys. I talked to a really good defense attorney today up in Atlanta, and he was on with Nancy Grace talking about this case. I mean, this guy's a pretty good, decent lawyer, and he's like, Tiger's going to have a problem. But Rick and Rich, I'll ask you too. Does it come down to money and power and how you can influence the courts and the system in terms of what you get in terms of something livable, right? Do you guys see any jail time for Tiger?
No, and he's a first time offender, and in the state of Florida, he's going to get first time offender if he what he'll probably plead to is a wet reckless, what they call it, and he'll go through all the stuff that he has to do, community service, all that, pay his fines, and be on probation and take the tests.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Rich, this guy, this is his second one, I believe. And these are the only times he's been caught, for the lack of better words. I mean, he's definitely putting Florida motorists at risk, Rich. I mean, you just can't drive while you're about half looped, whether it's no matter what the substance is. Should he get jail time, Rich?
Is he going to get jail time? Absolutely not.
Should he get some jail time?
Honestly, he didn't learn the first time. So, and you're going to say I'm harsh on this probably, but I think he does deserve a little bit of jail time, because what if he kills somebody? You can't take that back.
He deserves the jail time, but he's gonna march in there with all kinds of experts, and
we know that.
And apparently he's already signed himself into rehab. So
yeah, I'm hearing he went out of country to get treatment.
Yeah, I'm kind of well. I guess he got approval from the court, because usually when you're out on bond, you're not supposed to be leaving the country.
Yep, they did an order, and the judge signed off on it. But I mean, the guy's worth I don't know, gosh, how many billions, right?
Right.
I mean, he's not a flight risk. He's coming back. It's just a DUI. So I mean, there's a flight risk, but I don't know. It's certainly it just puts a lot of us Floridians at risk. He called the president right after the accident. I mean,
right.
They had a conversation before the police actually arrived. So,
police were on the scene. They just showed it on TV. He was walking up to the officer and told the officer, he got off the phone and said, I was just talking to the president.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Hold on for a second. I'm on the phone with the White House.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Hey.
Yeah. So Rick, we have some guys in the chat. Give it up for Rick, because Rick called this day one, and we'll get into what Rick called on day one. But Rick was right. Day one. That's why we love him, guys. That's why we bring him back every chance we get, because he brings the fire. He brings the A game. Rick, you were right in terms of your hypothesis as to why we haven't solved the Nancy Guthrie case.
Right. And that explains why the FBI went back in the house so many times, which we talked about during a couple of our conversations. Brian Hinton.
Real quick, Rick, set it up. It's a lot to unpack, but set it up as to what we're talking about, what you've heard, what's just been recently released.
Well, tonight at 10 o'clock on News Nation, Brian, I think it's Hinton, something like that. That's been there since day one, pretty much on the case and updates everybody. And he's had a couple of interviews with the sheriff, and he's a good guy. He's talking to the right people. Well, apparently he was approached by a deputy homicide detective out there that works at the agency, and he's sealed his identity and changed his voice around so that he's not recognizable. But he's come up and alerted Brian that the the two detectives from homicide that showed up that night, are super new, and they haven't worked a whole lot of homicides, which we talked about it, I think, last week, how many homicides they've had since 2025. They haven't had that many. And the homicide sergeant that came on the scene has never worked a homicide. So
Wait a minute. Can you repeat that? I can't hear you.
the homicide sergeant supervisor that was out there on the scene with the two detectives has never worked a homicide.
I think I have a bad connection, Rick. Can you repeat that one more time slower for me?
The homicide sergeant that came on the scene with the two detectives, he's brand new homicide sergeant, and he's never worked a homicide.
I heard you all three times, but I had to have you repeat it three times. That's a bombshell.
Right. So instead of going out there on the scene and going, this is pretty big, maybe we got to get some of the guys that have worked these before, or reach out to Tucson, or reach out to, the Arizona State Police and say, hey, well, the prosecutor's office there in Pima County, in that jurisdiction, has a criminal investigations division, and the guy that's the chief investigator is a longtime Tucson, Arizona, with like 20 some years experience homicide detective. So, I mean, it's maybe they had the best thoughts in past, and that they were going to they've gone to the schools, maybe, I hope, at least death and injury investigation, or some other form of homicide investigative school out there where they learn from the best of the best, and then felt they could move on with it. But as we've seen in the past, when we talked before, the FBI is back in the house 5 times after they'd been inside the house. So that kind of explains probably the sit down with the FBI guys, at least the crime scene folks from the FBI. Well, did you do this? No, we didn't do that. Okay, well, we got to go back in the house and we got to do that. Did you take anything that looked odd? Did you talk to the family and say, what in this house doesn't look right? Did you get any of that? No. Okay, well, we got to go back in the house and do that. So,
Wait
this
a minute,
is
Rick, I've got to stop you. I have to stop you. I'm sorry.
okay.
So you're telling me you have a supervisor over the homicide unit
Right.
that has never worked a homicide case in his entire career,
Correct.
but yet he responded to the house of Nancy Guthrie. Who are the team? Do they have experience?
Very limited.
Very limited experience on the entire homicide team.
Right.
And Rick, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think the sheriff ever made an appearance there. Am I correct?
Well, I don't know. We might find that out tonight when Brian does his interview with this guy. So, just the snippet that I saw, to get you to watch the program, we're liable to learn a whole lot more information at 10 o'clock tonight.
I mean, I'm just reading some of the chat, and I think we all surmise this, Rick, but it's now official. Rich, how do you become a super? But in fairness, when you get promoted, Rick, before I go to Rich, let's say that let's say you're in CID or you're in uniform patrol, and boom, you get promoted to sergeant, and you get transferred to homicide. But Rick, that never happens, does it?
Yes.
It does happen.
Nowadays, it's happening a lot.
But back in the day, you're not going to put a supervisor in there that has no experience. Or am I totally off
Correct. I
base?
mean, back in the day, if you think about it, as we came up, there was a series of things you needed to do to work your way into homicide, and that was start out in property investigations or auto theft or something like that. Learn how to be a detective, and then you move into another major case unit, i.e., sex crimes, crimes against persons, robbery, one of the major case units to where you learn your skill better. You learn how to interview people. You learn how to understand the law. Understand what constitutionally you can do and what you can't do. And then if you're in the process of coming to homicide, then you work your way into whatever training course you can get into, which there's plenty of them out there. At least in Florida, there is. I mean, I've been to every one you could possibly go to, um, including the Miami-Dade ME course, which that's like the gold standard if you go to the medical examiner's course, because you see everything and you stand there with the medical examiner. Nowadays, I'm hearing horror stories of people with 2 years on the department, and that's the only thing they do is they're in patrol, and all of a sudden I want to go to homicide. Okay, well, we'll put you in homicide. So this is not one of those kind of jobs, and especially in homicide, where it's on the job training, so to speak. I know when I went in way back in the day, in the dinosaur days, once you hit the unit, even though you had all this major case experience, which I came from crimes against persons, which was everything up to homicide, you were on call for 30 days. And any call that came in, you went to whatever team was working, you were with that team. And then once that team, that was basically your field training to confirm that you were good to go and work cases on your own, they would sign off on it and say, okay, he can start taking call now. But I mean, I was the field training officer in our unit. So, you got to see as much types of death as you could possibly see, respond to as much type of calls, especially missing, at least in our, and I guess they work it the same way out there. A
Right.
missing person case goes to homicide. So, you can work them, and they're totally different to work on the CID side versus the patrol side. Patrol just gets there, secures the scene, identifies who's who, and then the first thing they do is call a detective and hand it over there. And then we get there and go, okay, you write the initial report. Don't put this, this, and this in the report. All I want is you were here, you saw this, you felt it was suspicious, and you called us.
Rich, let me go to you. I've known you for 30 some years. I've known both of you guys for over 30 years. Rich, I've worked with you every single day. I know the type of investigator you are. You're like Rick. You're a digger. You don't stop. You're like a pit bull. You're like both of you guys are like pit bulls. You're not going to stop until you get a bite of justice and you put the handcuffs on the bad guys and they go off to jail. But Rich, let me ask you a question. You're fat and happy in whatever unit you're in. You've excelled. You've gotten the medals. You've got the awards. And they come to you and say, Rich, look, old man Rutgers is past his age. He's going to retire. We want to move you into homicide as a sergeant. Boom, you're promoted. What do you do? Are you going to take that promotion?
Here's,
You
I was
have no
hoping you were gonna,
experience.
I was hoping you were going to ask me that. Okay, as a sheriff, you're supposed to be the leader of all these people, right? You're the guy that's leading everybody. You've got a new homicide investigator working a high profile case. How's it going to hurt you to get someone that was there before, that possibly worked there for the last 10 years, help him out? You're assigned to him for this whole case.
Exactly.
What would that
Well, here's the problem real quick, and I'll let you continue, Rich, but here's the problem. Chris Nanos, the high sheriff of Pima County, had pulled a bunch of those guys out of the unit because they probably voted a no confidence vote. He found out. There were probably some campaigning going on Well, we've seen that under the Walt Gallagher days. Boom, you're back to uniform patrol, Rich Brown.
You're right. They had a 98, from what I read, there was a 98% no confidence vote on the sheriff. So I'm sure he probably, everybody thinks he has this attitude. Well, I'm positive he has an attitude, because if you're the boss and then they come public with 98% of your people think you can't lead, you're going to have an attitude. You're going to be mad. And unfortunately, in this case, it seems like they were quite right. Should have had somebody helping that guy, because we've talked about this before. You don't just have to figure out who did it. You have to figure out how you're going to prosecute it.
Big time.
Yep. And then leaving that crime scene and opening it up, I think 6 times. I could be totally wrong. It might be more. A good defense attorney is going to kill you on this thing. There's no way you're going to.
Yeah, somebody in the chat said, I'm not sure if I read it, I couldn't find it, but you really can't say anything on there because you don't have the stats. Well, Rick, we do have the stats. We do have that vote of no confidence. We do have the stats on the crime rate in Pima County, because you did the research. You know the stats.
Right.
So, I mean, it was just, is this just a complete, I want to move on to, guys, how do we fix this? But before I do that, is this just Chris Nanos being Chris Nanos, and he doesn't like you, and he's going to put you out on the midnight shift, counting coyotes on the highway?
Well, we don't know. I mean, we're guessing at all this. I mean, we're hypothesizing a lot of it, but that's probably accurate. That's probably. I mean, that's the life in a sheriff's office. If you can be, well, we know a couple of guys that have been bounced in and out of homicide a lot that were really good investigators because they didn't hold the correct line, periodically.
I'm going to call Rich's out a little bit. Rich's brother is responsible for that. He was Gallagher's right-hand man, Rick. He ran a lot of people out. I love your brother though, Rich. He helped a lot. He straightened that fleet maintenance out. All right, so where do we go from here, Rick? Let's say all of this is true, and the bigger question is, what we're seeing track before our eyes, is that consistent with what we're just talking about?
Yes. I think at this point it's going to be one of those things where the governor has to get involved, and that governor's kind of sketchy in Arizona. But the governor would have to get involved and take that case away from the sheriff's office and maybe install the Arizona State Police and their folks involvement, or the prosecutor over there has got, I don't know how many people, because it doesn't show on their site how many investigators they have assigned to their unit, but I can't, all I can compare it to is what I had here with the state. I had like 3 investigators in each county, so a total maybe 6. Well, I had 1 over in DeSoto County, so 7.
But they have a task force out there, Rick, from out of the prosecutor's office, is my understanding, right?
I don't know if they do or not. I haven't heard if they've got a task force out there. Unless that's something.
They have this task force for homicides.
If that's what they've got, and they've got a task force, and it's run like we talked about here, where the prosecutor, like MBI, has people from each agency that are homicide skilled people, and it's a countywide homicide unit. That would be my thought, if that's what they're doing, hopefully. But then again, you got to make sure that you got to, on this case, you got to have, I mean, all cases have to have the best of the best. But this case is super high profile, and you got to find have some kind of results. I think early on, like we talked before, they probably skipped over the victimology, and didn't accurately interview all the people in the family in that circle, and then go outwards with the circle of friends and associates and acquaintances. that are attached to those family members, and to Ann, Mrs. Guthrie.
I mean, loyal pal Tom says that Rick, he's former law enforcement. Both of you guys, he knows exactly what we're talking about in the comments he's making. They had a task force with federal and county and state, whatever that jurisdiction consisted of. So, I mean, that's $100,000 question. But Rich, how do you fix this? And turn to Rick for the homicide angle, but there's a hell of an optics problem with the Pima County Sheriff's Department. It's not going to go away. But here's the bigger picture. We have a missing woman, Nancy Guthrie. We have suspect or suspects at large. We were giving them credit. They know who they are. They're just putting the dots together and crossing their T's, and we'll see an arrest.
Yeah.
When Rick came on the first time, I'm like, okay, that's Rick. Rick's a numbers guy. He's a common sense guy. He shoots from the hip. And I'm like, yeah, I think Rick's going to be surprised. Well, the surprise is on us, Rich, because we thought they would have been an arrest. Rick said they would not be an arrest for a very long time. What's your take, Rich Brown?
Well, I got one for you. Wouldn't you like to read the probable cause on all those search warrants that they've written?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not saying anybody did anything wrong. But what I'm saying is you have to have probable cause in order to get those search warrants. There has to be some basis of truth in there, some factual thing in the search warrant in order to get that search warrant. And now I'm starting to wonder, is that all on the up and up? Because we've discussed this before. How did they get all those search warrants and then these people are just left alone? How do you get a search warrant on somebody? Because you almost have to have some type of, I don't know how to put it. You have to have something in there that you strongly believe that this person was involved in a crime. How are they doing this? How are they getting these search warrants?
I would bet you the prosecutor wrote them for them. Wrote their PCAs for the affidavit for the search warrants.
Interesting.
That seems to be the norm anymore. I don't know if we've over in Orange County if we've gone to that, but I noticed that over here in this part of the state, and then I know in Seminole County, everything has to go through the prosecutor, and the prosecutor ends up writing the narrative for the warrant, and then the deputy or officer swears to it.
Yeah, somebody in the chat just said that both of those search warrant occupants are now suing the sheriff, Sheriff Nanos. I guess.
Yeah, I've read that too.
I can believe that.
But here's the deal, Rick. This is what I'm having the trouble. I don't want to say I'm disagreeing with you, right? I got the experience. Everything you've unpacked, I agree with. But Rick, you still have to have probable cause in those affidavits to get a judge to sign off, no matter who authored that search warrant. At NBI, we had an in-house lawyer that helped us write all of our probable cause warrants to make sure we had all the elements that we matched. But they had to have enough PC. They're not going to go there and just lie to a judge, are they?
I think this is such a high-profile case that they are open to grasping at straws to create PC.
That's what I was getting at.
I think that just a little bit of probable cause, just above reasonable suspicion, is giving them the judicial authority to take a peek. And if these people sue, which I saw a thing where the one couple is suing, all that's going to be provided in discovery, and then somebody's going to, some prosecutor may end up being testifying as to what the actual probable cause was, because the first thing the officer is going to do or the detective is going to do is, well, I met with Prosecutor Jones, and Prosecutor Jones said, okay, we can massage this a little bit better to get just enough probable cause for us to get the judge to agree with the warrant.
Okay, let me stop you right there. I've had that happen. write the probable cause for the search warrant and the affidavit. Rich, I don't know, we've written hundreds of them, right? But particular when we had an in-house lawyer, someone from the state attorney's office or the U.S. attorney's office, depending on what jurisdiction we're writing that warrant,
Right.
you would always take it, Rick, to that in-house attorney to say, hey, here's my affidavit. Can you look over it? And what I've seen in the past is, they're going to get you for grammar and spelling right off the bat, but they're going to literally write notes into that affidavit. Is that wrong?
No. No, because it's just a matter. It's just all they're doing at that point. They're not really changing the probable cause around. They're just changing the way that it's being presented to the court. And legally,
I know that at MBI, if I wrote, I don't care what kind of it doesn't matter what document I authored in that office. It went up the chain to the director, and then it came back down the chain to me with all the changes and suggestions. And then
Right.
I made the changes and suggestions. It went back up the chain to the director with like 4 different people looking at it, to include the lawyers. And then it would come back for more change. I mean, that you could write an affidavit that may go up and down the chain 3 or 4 times until it gets corrected. So,
well,
I was called out in that in court one time.
I mean, we did that in our homicide unit where, you had your part. If you were the lead investigator on it and your partner was secondary, you would, write your affidavit, and then your partner would look it over and say, all right, what's this? How's this look? And a lot of, there's a lot of grammar stuff. It's like, okay, start taking a lot of those that's out. You put too many that's in your paragraph. And then once we fix that to make it, more readable, then it would go to the supervisor, the sergeant in the homicide unit, and they'd look at it and go, okay, and then give you the sign of the cross and say, go find a judge.
Jamie and I wrote a search warrant one time on a garbage bag. He was driving, and I was riding on a garbage bag on the way to a judge's house.
Hey, it'll work.
I think I still have that.
Hey, cool. Nothing wrong with that.
I mean, so how do we correct all of this? Let's say all of this is just horrible news for the Nancy Guthrie case, guys. They botched it from day one. We're theorizing here, not saying that to happen.
Right.
So don't get mad at me yet. But let's say everything was botched from day one. In and out of the house, released to crime scene, cross-contamination, potential evidence destroyed by the pool guy, the pizza guy, or whoever the heck was at the crime scene during the time it was released. And then you go over to Annie Guthrie's house. You do something in there 5 or 6 times, presumably without a warrant. They were cooperative.
Well, I've got a problem with that too, because and they don't.
Help me unpack this.
The family doesn't have authority to give them access to Nancy Guthrie's house. Period. The end. You can go in and you can do a quick look around to create your probable cause to get your search warrant, but they don't have the authority unless one of the family members is on that house as well and has liberal access. Number one, I mean, it's like the old roommate scenario where you've got 2 roommates in an apartment, and one roommate gives you authority to come in there and search, but the other roommate doesn't want you in there. So, and then that roommate, you've got access to the one that gives you access to his area of the house, the common areas and his bedroom, but that private area that belongs to the other roommate that you've got in custody or you think is your suspect, you got to have a search warrant to go in that subject's room.
So, Rich, I'll let you respond. I've got to ask Rick one more question. Rick, how many homicide cases have you worked? Whether it's in a home, a business, a car, some conveyance or structure. Did you always get a search warrant in those cases that you were working to make sure you were on solid footing?
99.9% of the time, it's like the old rule of thumb is when in doubt, get a search warrant.
And
And
we're
that's
not
not that
hearing
big a deal.
anything about that in this case, Rick. We don't hear. I've not heard one person. As a matter of fact, you're the person, Rick. You're the first person that's brought this up. Did they get a search warrant for Nancy Guthrie's home? My guess is
No.
no. We haven't heard that.
Well, we've heard, early on, we've heard, well, the family gave them access to the home. Well, the family can't give them access to the home. They don't own that home. So, like I said, unless there's some thing that says, that's one of the first things I'm going to ask is, okay, you're giving me access. What legal authority do you have to give me access? Oh, well, I'm on the deed. Okay. Well, that gives me access to go in and search the common areas that are shared, so to speak. But that doesn't give me access to go in there and snoop around Nancy or Ann Guthrie's bedroom, her car, any of that stuff.
Nancy Guthrie.
Yeah.
So, Rich, if this is true, this could be a problem if people are arrested and they potentially search that house without a warrant. What's going to happen?
Just think, just 5 minutes of us talking, just 5 minutes.
Right.
We're not defense attorneys. You get a good defense attorney, he is going to tear this to pieces.
Correct.
And it's all from the stuff we're talking.
Tanya in the chat says they're going to have a big problem if that's occurring.
Oh, and we've been saying this.
We've been saying this.
Prosecuting this case
forever. I mean, this is one, saying that, I've cleared the family of all involvement in the case. I'm like, okay, you don't do that. Sorry. You don't clear anybody until you make an arrest. And then you start clearing people.
Fellow.
I don't know. I could just see a Mark Nejane.
Yeah.
Someone of that caliber getting this case if an arrest is made. I mean, they're going to literally embarrass. I mean, I think they're already embarrassed, guys, but they're going to really crush America.
Well, whatever evidence they gleaned from their searches, their 5 or 6 searches of the house, is going to become what they call fruit of the poisonous tree. And then, the court's going to go, okay, well, where's the search warrant that you used to collect that evidence? It's going to be a nightmare.
So, guys, if you're just joining, talking about the incompetence of the Pima County Sheriff's Department in the Nancy Guthrie case, but more importantly, we're talking about, did the sheriff's office or any law enforcement folks get a subpoena or get a search warrant to search Nancy Guthrie's home and that crime scene? And we don't know that to be facts, but we've not heard that. And Rick was just unpacking that. Rich, people could walk on this case if they were tying certain evidence that could point to John Doe, and if that evidence was obtained illegally through an illegal search, it's going to be thrown out in a suppression hearing.
Go ahead, Rich. I was going to say something else.
I was just going to say I wouldn't feel comfortable, and I was actually going to ask you something, Rick. That we talked about this before on a prior episode, but that doormat where all the blood was.
Right.
Would you have left that doormat just out of curiosity?
Oh, absolutely not.
I still, that one just gets me more than any of them because there was blood all over it, all around it.
Right.
What would make you leave that?
Stupidity.
It's still there.
There's no other way to put it. I mean, it's stupidity. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, at some point, let's say they did get a search warrant on, hypothetically. Let's do the hypothetical thing where they went into the garage and they did the luminol test and they did some other tests of the vehicle and stuff like that. Now, you guys know as well as I do, when you do your search warrant and it says to all in singular the sheriffs of the state of Orange County or wherever, and then if you've got other agents from other agencies participating in that search, if they're not listed in that search warrant, they can't be in there. They can't be inside that residence. They can't be any part of it. So hopefully if they did any kind of a search warrant, they included, special agents of the Federal Bureau of Investigations, crime scene techs, and on and on and on. Whoever walked into that house under maybe a lawfully issued search warrant, and it seems with the other people that they did search warrants on, They did other people search. They did search warrants on other residences and vehicles and so forth. So let's hope that everybody that was in, and you got a bunch of new guys apparently doing it. So hopefully they had the presence of mind to understand the importance of the Fourth Amendment, and when you include those kind of things in a court order to do a search.
Hey, Rick, Terry's asking in the chat, do you need a search warrant in a home where a crime has been committed? And that's kind of what we're talking about. Terry may be joining late, but just explain that really quick.
Yes. There's no such thing as a murder scene exception or a death scene exception. Especially if there's other people in the house and then you go in there and you find evidence of another crime unrelated to what you're there for in the first place, you have to have a search warrant to gather that evidence. Now, the only one that doesn't need a search warrant is if the body's still on the scene, the medical examiner. By state statute, you can't inhibit them. They go in and their job is to collect the remains. That's it.
But that's it. I mean, that's the scope of what he can do or she can do. That doesn't mean that crime scene techs, they're going to come in and search the house. They're going to process the house. You have to have a warrant.
Correct. Now, the medical examiner is going to take some periphery photos of the decedent and the just general area of where the decedent is located, but that's all they're going to do. And then they're going to package the decedent and take them with them.
Yeah, Britt wants to know, what if the family gave them permission?
I'm sorry, what?
I think it's Britt in the chat wanted to know, what if the family gave law enforcement permission to go in and search or to process the crime?
The family really doesn't have authorization to give anyone the authority to go in and search that residence because that's not their residence. There's even though let's hypothetically say that Mrs. Guthrie is alive and found. The family gives authorization to go in there and search her home, and then they find something in there that is evidence of a crime that they could charge Mrs. Guthrie with. That's why you need a search warrant, because she has the Fourth Amendment right to be free in her papers and her stuff inside her home. Make sense?
Totally. I'm down with all of that. So, I mean, here we go again. I don't want to beat the same horse, Rich, but inexperienced. Let's start all over. Lack of leadership from the top, being the sheriff. Lack of good choices by the sheriff in terms of putting people in the right positions that are qualified. Not listening to your staff. I'm sure that the staff went to the sheriff if, in fact, he moved people because he just didn't like them. I'm sure somebody said, "Hey, sheriff, we're not going to have anybody with experience in the homicide unit. You may want to rethink that." I don't know.
Well,
that could have been the conversation.
We're putting a lot of the decision on the sheriff, which doesn't need to be if you follow the chain of command. Now, if the sergeant gets there on the scene, all you guys are totally aware, a case this big, you're going to be making notifications up the chain. First to your lieutenant, who's going to contact the captain, who's going to contact maybe the major over CID, who's going to contact his next, a deputy chief, or the undersheriff, who's going to contact the sheriff. So up that chain, we're putting a lot of blame on the sergeant on the scene, but all the way up the chain, somebody dropped the ball.
The unfortunate thing about a sheriff's office, though, is everybody serves at the pleasure of their sheriff, and a lot of times it's his buddies that supported him during the election, and
right,
they pay people back in just like any other political game. So
right.
He seems like he did a little more than the average bear, but that's just my opinion. So
yeah.
I was just trying to read something here about the election, but it's not giving me I don't want to delay. I'll post what I was wanting to talk about, but that was the union vote of the lack or no confidence vote on the sheriff. I mean, so Rich, I mean, to your point, I don't think anyone in that entire agency is happy with Chris Nanos right now, and they haven't been since the election. But here's the deal, guys. We have this case. It's unsolved. It's a whodunit. Is that the right terminology, Rick? It's a whodunit.
Yes and no. I mean, there's plenty of opportunities if they've done their victimology to identify that circle of people where they would have, you know, some sort of a lead to follow to either affirm or deny that this person or party involved is either involved or not involved. It's elementary. I mean, it's you got to work the shoe leather, and you've got to exhaust all of your stuff because as soon as you go, if you get somebody in custody, as soon as you go to deposition or go to court, the defense counsel is going to tear you apart because
Marilyn, I need the remote now.
Hey, Miss Julie, I brought you up. I'm sorry. How are you?
I'm fine. How are y'all?
Do you have a question for Rick? Or
When
Rich?
you think, I was reading, Nancy Grace said the homicide detective they put on this case has never done a homicide yet in his life.
that
She
was the fun.
looked him up. She told Nano, she goes, you need to excuse yourself from this case and let somebody else take over. She
Right.
said he's just messed the whole case up, period. Who leaves a man at the door with blood on it, first off? Can't use it now because everybody's mother and brother's been all over it. Landscapers and pool people and FBI walking in and out of there and stuff. And you tainted the crime scene. So you got basically, I guess, go back to square one and see if you can figure out from there what happened and who they are.
Savannah Guthrie, with the amount of funds that she has at her disposal, I mean, I would almost want to hire outside help. Just come in, and I know you're not going to be able to probably prosecute this, but find out who did this. And
Yeah.
I think
I feel sorry for the family.
I do too.
Yeah.
I mean, the sheriff's is like, they're all cleared. How can you clear somebody from a scene like that?
You can't.
And Cameron needs to be looked at a little bit further, I think.
Sorry, who?
Because Savannah said a couple words, he goes, oh, it's a kidnapping. How do you know that? I mean, I know his intelligence and everything he has in his background and stuff, but how do you, I'm going to go, oh, it's a kidnapping.
He called that supposedly right off the bat. Am I correct, Julie?
Yeah, and that's just funny to me.
And Rick,
Yeah,
Rick, you spoke on that last week.
Right, and that was one of the things where as soon as he said that, how do you know that? And that's the detective radar goes up at that point. It's like, okay, we need to sit him down and have a long come to Jesus meeting, figure out how he came to that conclusion, what led him to that conclusion. And like I said last time, if he overheard one of the detectives saying, hey, this might be a kidnapping, and then ran with it, then that's an easy explanation. And then you talk to the detectives, hey, did you guys say that this might be a kidnapping? Oh, yeah. Was the brother-in-law standing there when you said it? Oh, yeah, he shook his head in agreement. Okay, well, all right, now we still need to talk to this guy because he's shaking his head in agreement.
It's just I'm speechless, and I didn't want to agree with you a couple weeks ago, Rick, when you come up the first time. I'm like, Rick's being super cautious, but that's Rick being a former guy in the box he's been tested, Rich, and he called it. He called it right off the bat, and I think it's more disappointing. I think to America. I mean, Rich, it's America's grandma, right? We all are connected to this poor woman who just vanished without a trace.
Well,
How does the voters respond to this? I mean, if he doesn't get recalled, If he doesn't resign, then it's going to be decided at the election box. But here's the unfair part about it, Rich. That case is not going to be solved on either the three, the election box or recall. It's not going to solve the Nancy Guthrie case.
No, and 20 years ago, I tell you, he would get the boot. He would never get reelected. But
Right.
today, 50-50. Flip a coin.
Well, one of the bigger, this case in Pima County, Arizona, may just be what's coming attractions in other agencies with other homicides. Because
Hey, Rick, can I cut you off real quick, politely?
sure.
I like to keep up with the questions in the chat, and I missed this. Faye's asked this question a couple times, and I missed it. Faye wants to know, Rick, and I don't think she caught it. Faye says, who gave permission for the house to be searched? And I think she's just tuning in later. She didn't hear it, but that's coming from Faye Ray.
Well, I think it came from the sister that is local in Pima County, the Tommaso's wife. I don't know that Savannah Guthrie gave that, because if you're going to give it, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to, you have to have somebody sign a form that says you're giving them access to the house. And I'm sure Savannah wasn't there because they're, making phone calls trying to figure out if she's in the hospital, if she's here, she's there, trying to find family friends. Now, nothing necessitates the officers going in and taking a quick peek and looking around. But then if they see evidence there, they can't mess with it. They got to go, okay, we got to seal it. We got to put a deputy at the door. Everybody out of this place. Detective Jones is on the way to get a search warrant. So we've got to just hold the residents until they get the search warrant. But the family doesn't have authorization to give access to that house.
Rich, what's your take on this? That's a lot to unpack. I mean,
Well,
where does this case
if
stand?
they're on the
as
deed,
we speak?
if they're on the deed because she is elderly, maybe they're on the deed and part they're not.
Rick, that dog don't hunt, even if they're on the deed, right?
Right. They still don't have access to her private room. I mean, they can have
I
access
agree.
to the common area. They have access to the common areas and all that stuff, but they don't have liberal access to the entire house.
Yeah, I almost, I don't think this thing's going to be a really hard case to prosecute at this point. I don't know that it can be.
Well, even if they get a signed consent to search, a smart defense attorney is going to argue to the court it's invalid. And they're going to say probably the same thing I said. Yeah, they might have consent to search the common areas of the house, but this search seems to be limited to the bedroom maybe and her car that was in the garage.
Now, I have a question for you. We got some great people in here asking some amazing questions. Betsy's asking, can the sister have a power of attorney over Nancy? And I think the rest of her question was, if somebody had power of attorney over Nancy, could they give consent to search that entire house, including Nancy Guthrie's personal bedroom?
It depends what the power of attorney was. If it was a medical power of attorney, I would say just for that aspect of it, which I can't see them having power of attorney for the entire house. Maybe just for medical aspects.
Yeah, we're trying to search for different ways to see if we can cover, an angle that they were thinking at the time, and it's just not possible, I think.
Yeah, it's if they were confused on what they should do, that's why you've got your staff attorney or your on-call prosecutor to give a call and say, this is what we got. Can we do this? And I think if they'd have called somebody, the attorney, with the ones with the JD behind their name, would have said, oh, hell no. You need to go get a search warrant and get it now. Just secure the house, go get a search warrant.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just an amazing set of facts and circumstances and nuances that we just don't know the inside baseball of. But I do know this: there's some amazing questions being asked in here, guys. If you want to come up on the panel and ask your questions, we're going to open it up now, guys, for questions. Rick, are you okay for a couple questions?
Yep.
Rich, are you okay?
Yep. I'm totally fine.
So
Somebody
if
in
you guys
there
have some
said they
questions
think
you
they
want to
know
pop
me.
up, we're going to open it up now for some chit chat and some questions, guys. Bring your hard ask questions. They're hard ask questions. Let me make sure I said that right. ASK. But if you have questions, bring them up and we'll get to them. Well, Lolly asked, did the family indicate that they were hiring private investigators? We had rumors, guys, that there were some streamers videoing the front of Nancy Guthrie's home. Possibly two guys were maybe private investigators that I think turned out to be either Comcast people or maybe Door people, Rick. I don't know which, but I mean, Rich Brown and Rick, are we at the point now, if you're the family with multiple millions of dollars in the bank, wouldn't you be hiring a PI like Rick to
Yes.
come out there and look at this case?
Yes.
That's what I would do. What do you have to lose at this point?
And that's all going to be dependent. I mean, the bad part about it as a PI, you're coming in blind, basically, other than going in and rewalking everything, because at most all you're going to get from the agency, if that, is the incident report when the patrol deputies arrive. You're not going to get any investigative data unless you can go in there and, hey, I want to help you guys. Maybe I can find some stuff that you didn't even think about, and maybe get them on your side. But you're going in totally blind. I mean, it'd be a neat case to work.
Bon Bon wants to know, she's like, I hate to blow out the chat, but she's got a great question about the United Cajun Navy or any other professional search group qualified to go out and search for Nancy Guthrie. That's her question, Rick. Why are they not there? Why are they not searching? And of course, we don't know why exactly, but we've got an indicator.
Well, we sure do, because I think you talked to one of the guys from the Cajun Navy, and they don't want them on the scene for whatever reason. They've got all this abilities that they have grown since New Orleans with the hurricane, where they started out with airboats, and now they've grown to where they've got dogs, they've got horses, they've got drones, they've got a whole lot of stuff to bring to bear. And for some reason, the sheriff doesn't want them on the ground, which is not real smart. I mean, if you've got access to good cases, one of the cases I had, we found a canine search and rescue organization out of Tampa that we brought in to a case where there was a buried body on an abandoned pig farm. We just didn't know where it was. Our dogs went out there and hit multiple locations.
Was that out in Zone 21 in Bithlo?
Yep. County Road 13.
Case. Yep.
And we brought this guy in from Tampa, and within 20 minutes, he hit on a spot, and I said, okay, we've had our dogs hit on about 6 spots, and we've dug and we can't find anything. I said, how much do you trust this dog? He said, I trust it with my life. And we dug, and within 18 inches of where the dog hit, we found the body. So, and that was a free organization. And they don't mind.
I remember that case well.
And they don't mind coming to court. And this guy's dog, was at the Obama bombing. He had worked his dog out there looking for bodies. So it had a good tracking history.
Hey Sarah, thank you for that. So Rick, I mean, is it too late? Is it ever too late to go out and formulate a search and get something organized and go start somewhere? Is it too late? Are we past that?
Well, as far as finding an alive person, we're probably past that. We're going to find remains, and if you set it up right, and you've got the people that understand, how to search, and if you're smart, you've got somebody from the agency that's ready, willing, and able to assist and at least oversee the search, so that if anything is located, it's collected properly from this point forward and not contaminated worse.
Yeah, somebody's in the chat asking who actually called Tim Miller. If you guys recall that you've been here since day one or a couple weeks ago, we actually had Tim Miller on the show, and Tim indicated that someone had called him. He wouldn't obviously divulge who that person was, but they couldn't get a formal invite from law enforcement. And
Right.
Tim has a very good working relationship with the feds, but the case agents are from the Pima County Sheriff's Department, and they just would not give, from what I understand, Tim Miller and Texas EquuSearch the nod to come on out and search. You never could get an answer from them, but someone did inquire about him coming to the ground there to search for Nancy, and basically it fell on deaf ears. Here we go.
Not only do we have the volunteer organizations that will come out and search, but you really close by. You have a pretty good federal group from Border Patrol that has horses and ATVs and canines, and the prison has canines. You've got academy classes. I've used academy classes to search for stuff. I mean, what better way for them to learn to how to do their job when they finish the academy than come out and assist on a major crime scene.
Yeah, I don't think they even collected all the video evidence from people's Ring door cameras in that whole area in the beginning. Am I right in that?
That's correct.
Would you ever do that?
Would I ever do that?
Yes.
Oh,
Because there has to be some video. This is my thought too. There has to be some video evidence somewhere. I don't care if you have to go through 10,000 things of video and check every single vehicle that you find in there. There has to be some video evidence of vehicles moving around at that time. Has to be somewhere in today's world.
Well, I don't remember. Do you guys remember the truck driver that was killed up on Boggy Creek Road off the 417?
Yes.
You
You know how I found that guy?
How?
I looked at the toll plaza and I said, these guys were in a hurry. And we got a vague description of a black SUV. So I got the security guy out there from the East West Expressway Authority. And I said, how long do you keep your video? And I forget what the time frame was. I said, I need somebody to start looking at every piece of video on this road. I said, because if they've run the toll before, they've run it in the past. And I want to find a black SUV. Took me about 2 weeks. And I found it.
That's my point right there.
Exactly.
It's worth the effort. That little extra effort. You're going to stay up late over and over and over, but you'll eventually figure it out.
Yeah, that guy was shocked when I knocked on his door.
Hey, Rick, let me ask the chat. For the chat, Rick worked a very horrible case in Florida that I have a little vested interest in. Rich has some vested interest. Guys, can we veer off of the Nancy Guthrie case for about 15 minutes if Rick will allow us to do that? And I want to talk about something. I want to talk about a cold case that's never been solved. If you're okay in the chat, guys, let me know, please. Drop some ones if you're okay. If we veer away on another case real quick while we have Rick here. So let me know, guys, if you're okay with that.
Yeah, go ahead.
The ones. All right, Rich, ask away. We've been talking about this case since Rick joined us day one.
Because
this I
this
don't know
case
what
is
Rick's willing to talk to us about, but it's your show.
good, because I was going to try to pick his brain on this one because it's always bothered me. There was a girl at a Circle K convenience store on the corner of Hall Road and what was it, Aloma?
Deborah Poe.
Just, at what?
Deborah Poe.
Deborah Poe, that's it. Just disappeared into thin air, and
Right.
everybody looked for her.
Right.
And nobody could come up with anything. And Jamie told me you actually worked that case.
Yeah, I worked at secondary. The original two guys that were on the case actually was my partner and one of the other guys that was in homicide that was a long-term investigator in there. Good guy, super good guy. It was his case initially.
What are your thoughts on that case?
My thoughts on the case are
Oh my gosh! Thank you.
uh,
All right, you're interrupting my case, JC.
I'm sorry.
2000,
Thank you, guys.
around 2002, 2003, I was contacted by one of the guys up in the Panhandle with Florida Department of Law Enforcement, and said that they've had a couple of cases. One of them was identical to Deborah Poe up in her name was Donna Callahan. No, it wasn't Donna Callahan. But it was up in the Panhandle, north of, kind of west of Gainesville. She was abducted and not seen. Well, they identified some suspects, two brothers that.
Oh my gosh! Thank you for that. Sorry, Rick.
That's okay.
I get excited.
They identified two brothers that they had in custody for that case. And one of them was a serial rapist, and one of them turned out to be a serial murderer.
Wow.
Both these guys are in prison. What they were doing was they would abduct victims, female victims. The one serial rapist would have fun with them, and then he would turn that person over to his brother, who would kill that person. And then
That almost sounds unbelievable, doesn't it? That you have two brothers, one's a serial rapist and the other one's a serial killer.
Yeah. We figured out the gene pool went bad with mom because they had different dads. So they were taking these bodies, they would abduct them all over the state, and they would take the bodies up to Defuniak Springs, and then they would be buried on the family property. And then periodically, the one brother would dig them up and play with them again.
That is disturbing.
He was
FDLE, play with it. Necrophilia.
Play with them.
Necrophilia. And
oh my gosh!
That's cool.
Thank you.
We're gonna have to put Jamie on mute. I gotta find this out. This is incredible. Have you ever heard this?
I told him a little bit about it.
Amazing.
The FDLE had gone up to the property when they made the initial arrest, because they were looking at the serial rapist brother as the bad guy. And the serial murder brother was, like they often do, was Mr. Cooperative, and anything I can do to help the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, blah, 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 blah. Which that should have keyed him. It's like, okay, your brother's going to prison and now all of a sudden you want to help us? Why didn't you help us way back when, So, they kind of fell on their sword with that one. But they'd gone up there with the C.A. Pound Human Identification Center out of University of Florida, Dr. Falsetti's team, and then they went up to Florida State University, which has the radar system where they can look for graves. Well, they found like 8 empty graves. And as the story went on, the one brother who's the serial murderer had 2 sons that were adolescents. One was like 10 and one was like 13. And he loaded up the family truck with 6 or 8 55-gallon drums. And then they took a trip to see family in Indiana. And the boys told FDLE that along the way, they would stop along the interstate or in areas off the interstate, and Dad would bury the 55-gallon drums, and they stunk really bad. So,
well, think you answered my question on that one. The chances of finding her are about zero.
Correct. So during my investigation into him, because I went and talked to him at Florida State Prison, and he acted super crazy. The one brother we had on the scene that night, we had somebody that took over for her. That was obviously a bad guy. That had long hair, had multiple earrings in his ears, wore a Megadeth T-shirt, that kind of stuff. And we had, the forensic artist did a drawing of that person. Well, he surprisingly looks a lot like the serial rapist brother at that time in life. And so when we went, my partner and I at the time, we went and talked to the serial rapist brother first, and told him why we're here. He, claimed, I don't know anything about that case. And I threw the picture out there that the forensic artist had done. I said, well, this looks quite a lot like you with this photograph that I have of you wearing the same outfit. And we want to know where you were in Winter Park during this time frame. And he kind of looked at it, and we showed him a picture of her. And he said, well, I don't know anything about her, but you might want to go talk to my brother. So then we went and talked.
Rick, real quick, let me acknowledge a few people. Sandy, thank you for that. Spoke with John a little bit today. I hope to join him back soon. But thank you for the follow. And guys, I can't say enough. Thank you for the taps. Thank you for the shares. It means the world to all of us in the community. And the gifts, guys, are just mind-blowing. Queen Bee, Monty, everybody here, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm just the guy that hits the on button. You guys drive and steer the community. So I have to give the shout out to everybody that's tapping and sharing the gifts and just the general amount of love and the amazing questions and the investment that you guys are making in the Nancy Guthrie case. And now you're listening to the Deborah Poe case. So Rick, I'm sorry. I wanted to acknowledge those folks.
Oh, no problem. So we went and talked to him, and he feigned illness, and he feigned like he was crazy. And my partner was officer nice and friendly to him, and I was officer, I'm going to come across that table and rip your throat out at any minute, that kind of thing. And but he rocking back and forth in his chair. He was playing it up really well. He's since been interviewed on a murder special with that English reporter that went and interviewed him. My partner at that time calls me up. He goes, "Hey, turn this channel on. Guess who they're interviewing? They're interviewing Reeby." I'm like, "Holy crap!" But it was interesting with that guy. At the time of her disappearance, he worked for Marita Bread, delivering bread to convenience stores.
Wow.
And he lived over there off of Turkey Lake out by Universal. I got the aerial views of the house. I got satellite views of the house because we were looking for graves on that property. We got the new owners. I mean, he rented that house. We got what you would call a consent to search from the new owners, and we went out there with the radar and stuff to see if we could find a grave.
Rick, what's the bad guy's name? Someone's asking.
Mark Reeby.
I always thought she must be in that lake, and they just missed her.
She's not in the lake.
Yeah, I always thought that though.
No, because you can weight down a body and think you've got it secured, but they always pop to the surface within a week. What'll happen is they'll put bricks on them and chain them down. They'll throw anchors down, and the soft skin once you're right, with the air, and it wants to float. So the appendages that they weight them down with, the arms, legs, head, that kind of stuff will all break off, and then you may have just a torso will float to the top.
Was there no evidence whatsoever inside the store, like fingerprints or anything? I mean, was there blood?
No.
I don't know the details on this case, but it always made me curious. I always wanted to know.
I mean, and the anniversary, if you still get the Orlando Sentinel, because that's what her main job was. She worked for the Orlando Sentinel. She didn't. She just worked there part-time. So once a year, the Sentinel puts out a request for information on her, which is really cool. I think that's cool. But these guys they're bad guys. They're some bad guys. Um,
I tell that to my kids all the time. You just have no idea the people you walk by when you're in the mall or
right.
at a grocery store. You just have no clue because you've recognized people that you've arrested before walking around, and it's
Yes.
just shocking how many of them there are.
Right.
Wow, it's kind of scary. So
Yeah.
Rick, how many bodies are these guys responsible for? If you had to take a guess,
10.
now are these spree guys or are they serial guys?
No, they're serial.
Serial.
They confirmed one's a serial rapist, sex crime guy, and the other one, the brother Mark, is the serial killer.
isn't that crazy?
Can you explain the difference, Rick, between a serial killer and a spree killer? For the people may not know.
Okay, a serial killer, that's their drive, that's their motivation. Now, let's put it into the context of the Pulse shooting in Orlando. Okay, that was a terroristic act, but that was somebody that came in and killed a lot of people on one instance. So that was a spree killing. A serial killer will do it over a matter of days, weeks, months, years. Look at Ted Bundy. He's a serial killer. Where
By the way, they just nailed another body on him.
yeah, I read that out in Utah, I think it was.
Yep.
There's spree killers will pretty much do all their stuff in one day, where a serial killer does it over a lengthy period of time. Anyway,
You mentioned their mother.
yeah,
Did she have like a big criminal past or?
no, just a redneck.
Jimmy calls me a redneck.
No, she had no dirt. And the guy that was the serial rapist, his ex-wife was a dispatcher for the sheriff's office up there.
What?
Are you serious?
Yeah. Dead serious. When me and my partner went up there looking around to go talk to the wife and the mother, a marked car pulled up behind us, and the deputy came out, and we didn't tell anybody we were going up there. The deputy came out and said, "Hey, are you guys the detectives from South Florida?" And I'm like, "Well, I guess Orlando is south of here, so yeah." Sheriff wants to talk to you. So next thing we know, we're sitting in the sheriff's office. Good guy, but
Wow.
I was just kind of concerned. And I'm like, I looked at Riggs and I said, "Did you tell anybody we're coming up here?" No, I thought you told somebody we're coming up here. No,
You never know.
There you go.
you never know. I guess they ran my tag or something.
Hey, Rick, one more topic. Got to know I've never asked you about this case. We're sitting here heartbroken over the Nancy Guthrie case. It's not solved. We haven't recovered Nancy Guthrie, and it's been a minute for Nancy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jennifer Kesse,
Yeah.
she's been going 10 years plus, vanished without a trace from her apartment.
Mm-hmm.
Rick, what's the difficulty in the Jennifer Kesse case? Why haven't we seen it solved? Did the bad guys just get 100% lucky? Because we know some of the investigators on that case.
Right. Yeah. A lot of people were involved in that case. Guys that are good investigators. And a caveat here, where I live now, the Kesses lived like 3 doors down from me.
Do they really?
They used to. They sold that house, but they lived like 3
Just
doors.
heartbreaking for that family, man. Heartbreaking. But I mean, you're not even going to compare the investigators on the Nancy Guthrie case to the investigators assigned to the now cold case of the Jennifer Kesse case. But Rick, those investigators are good.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's unsolved.
It's unsolved. And it's, you can do everything you can, and you follow all the A through Z to get the stuff done. And there's just, I've got a couple of cases that are like that. It's just like, all right, what did I miss? Is there something else I should have done? That's another one that could be solved, but unfortunately, she may be the foundation of a building somewhere.
What's your take on that? I've never asked you, and I know Rich has questions on that case too, but I've never asked you your opinion on it or your theory.
Well, there was, I think that there's still a theory out there of the boyfriend that they were looking at. He had a job in Miami. He wanted her to move to Miami. She had a good job in Orlando and didn't want it. And there's you know I guess that maybe he was a little bit perturbed about that. I don't know if it's enough to harm somebody. If you love them, you're not going to harm them like that. Um, they had a number of that condo she lived in. There was a lot of construction still going on around there. I mean, when you talk to Andrew, her dad, this is relentless on him. He feels that she'd been kidnapped to be a sex slave, and she's in the Middle East, is what he thinks.
But they came out, Rich. I don't know if you saw this. They came out, Rick, with this grainy image from a video surveillance system nearby. This person of, well, they say it's not a I don't know. You correct me if I'm wrong. They called it a person of interest, or someone they wanted to talk to. I mean, could that have been the bad guy? Do we know?
I mean, it's possible. I mean, it's somebody. I mean, I remember from way back when they showed that person walking along the sidewalk, and at that point it could either be a male or a female. It's so grainy, it's hard to tell. But they looked at that a long time ago, but never been able to identify anybody. And the thing is, the sad part about it is as long as there's only one person involved in it, they can pretty much take it to their grave. Unless they,
My feelings on that is that I truly believe, and we're talking about the Jennifer Kesse case, guys. I think she was rolled up in carpet and carried out in a roll of carpet.
possible. If there was carpet in there, to roll her up in. Those
Supposedly they were doing flooring next door or in the same building as hers. So I've always sort of thought that, but well, that's just a heartbreaking case. I mean, that's just one of many unsolved missing people.
right.
I mean, let's just pray that they get the leads that they need to get and get that case solved, because the family needs some closure on that case as well. That's way overdue.
Well, the sad part of it is there is no closure until they have her back one way or the other. You can't have a funeral. You can't have anything. You can't. You just continuously grieve, and that's why we try to work so hard to resolve these cases one way or the other.
Rick, what case keeps you up at night that you've worked? Do you have any of those lingering cases that just continue to work in your mind and you try to figure it out? And
Yep.
you've got to have something in your back that it's like, why can't I solve this?
Well, I had the Mary Lynn Mark and her nephew Daniel Mark that were killed in execution style, burn up in a van in 2002-ish. And at the time of her death, her husband, who has been killed in Miami this was in January, and he was killed in July or August in Miami after then U.S. Customs and DEA and the Coast Guard gave him one of his boats back to him. He was reported to be the number 3 importer of cocaine into the United States at the time of his death. And I have a pretty good idea who did it. Just don't have enough evidence to put the handcuffs on him.
You ever just want to get in your car, find out where they live, and go knock on their door and say, hey, I'm not the popo, but can you help me out?
Well, if you talk to Mark Nejami, because he represented that guy when I got him stripped of his United States citizenship and sent back to Haiti. And we had a 5-hour bond hearing in in the Middle District of Orlando court before he got stripped of his citizenship because he
So
had.
he's out of country in Haiti currently, Rick.
Well, rumor has rumor has it her side of the family knocked him off when he got back to Haiti.
Gee, whiz-a-mighty.
Because when we gave the death notification to the family, and the family, they're all Haitian, and they all started screaming and crying. It was the brothers. They wanted Guido's boats that she had inherited as a result of his death. So I'm looking at the house and I'm going, okay, boats? What are they? Can I fish off of them? Can I ski off of them? Or are they? What kind of boats are they? And they all look at their houses and they go, oh, they're big boats, big boats. So I'm thinking, SS Minnow, with tires hanging off the side and bicycles and stuff like that. And then I call my counterpart with the FBI that was running a task force on Guido's death. And I'm like, Chuck, have you ever seen any of Guido's boats? And he's like, well, boats isn't a good word. I'm like, okay, what's a good word for it? He goes, well, ships is a good word. And he says the smallest one, they're freighters. He said the smallest one was 125 foot long. Yeah. So it was fun. I got sworn into DEA as part of that, and we started pulling inmates that were in federal prisons all over the country down to proffer to us information about this particular family and their. Because at some point we'll talk about this offline, but you'll probably know who I'm talking about. Because any cocaine dealer that did business at that time did business with these people.
Yep.
That's where they got their cocaine. And then there was one particular individual that we'll discuss that you and I know about that used to wear a badge that got arrested, and he was probably part of that group too.
Rich, that's your guy.
Just, I wish people in this room could have met him. And you got to admit, he's probably the nicest guy you'd ever meet.
Yep.
He just really is. I still, to this day, I can't fathom that in my head. I know it's true.
Yeah.
It's just so hard to believe. It's like you just
he was
found
a
out
bad
your
man.
grandmother was the head of the cartel. That's what it's like.
Yeah. Well, and then in my instance, when he was in a role as a watch commander and calling me up claiming he had information on various homicides, now we're all thinking back, maybe he had more than knowledge or was getting information. He might have had some sort of involvement in those homicides.
Now, I could think of probably 10 or 15 other people that you said that to me. I'd be like, yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
I can see that, but not him.
Yeah.
He was such a nice guy. He was a good guy.
Oh, he was being fast tracked to. He'd probably been sheriff at one point.
I agree. Totally agree.
Because he was being fast tracked big time. And you're right. He wasn't a good guy, or at least when I met him, he was.
Yeah, we thought he was a good guy.
We thought he was a good guy.
Well, I met him at 2:30 at a pawn shop and bought a stolen lawnmower from him. He wasn't a good guy.
I know. I can't even.
He looked at me.
picture
He's
that.
like, "Man, you look familiar." I'm like, I get that all the time. I started to say, "Yeah, you're right, Captain. Just saw you about a month ago." But
Yeah.
I had this wig on, and he was like, "Man, you look familiar." I'm like, "Just give me my mower, man. I gotta go buy a stolen mower from him." Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But he had 3 or 4 other guys, if you recall, that abruptly retired after he got cuffs on.
I mean, it almost reminds you of the Miami River Cops.
Correct.
Yep.
You know,
Well, that was we found that out during we did multiple search warrants on that case. I mean, that was a year and a half of my life that was just devoted basically to that case. And we did search warrants in Tampa. We did search warrants in Seminole County. We did search warrants in Orlando. I mean, it was just all over the place. And one of the search warrants with one of the guys that worked for Winter Park that was in the DEA task force, which you probably know. He and I were on one scene in Apopka with one of the brothers sitting in flex cuffs as we were executing a search warrant where we found $80,000 in the attic in a Christmas box, all wrapped up with different colored rubber bands and stuff, which you understand what that means. And I asked him as he's sitting there in flex cuffs, where did this money come from? And he looks at me, I told you the burglar put it there. I'm like, okay. Yeah, well, it's ours now.
Hey guys, let's go back to Nancy Guthrie for a minute. And you hit it on the head. You've explained it the way I think the people are going to catch on. Rick, the two search warrants, this is in the back of my mind. Work with me. The two search warrants we saw, could they be totally unrelated
Yes.
to Nancy Guthrie?
Yes.
Could it have been narcotics?
Sure.
Could
The
it
dog
have been
something that was stupid.
all the above, correct? Am I wrong? But now
Yeah.
hold on a minute. Now, when I say unrelated, could it have been something that these individuals possibly knew, did, heard, maybe through digital texting, maybe a GPS unit, maybe a tip? But could those warrants have been worked from the narcotic side just to get the probable cause, and we haven't heard that?
Yeah. Or they could have been picked up at the same time or time frame on a traffic camera, and it looked like there was maybe an elderly woman in the passenger seat or something like that. Something that would give you reasonable suspicion to suspect, okay, this vehicle may be involved, and it's within close proximity and time to when this incident took place. And we may have another picture from a house cam on the same street that picked up a vehicle similar to that or that vehicle, and it's just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
And the reason I kind of spun back around to the Nancy Guthrie case, I mean, I'm listening to you, Rick, and you're working multiple unalivings. You're working multiple leads, but you're executing search warrants along the way to build your case, get leads, and et cetera. So, I mean, that's my explanation for the two warrants that we saw play out in this Nancy Guthrie case. Rich, am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong.
Oh, that's great. I mean, that's a good angle. I mean, it makes total sense.
Well, remember, it goes back to the old adage we used to say, some days you get the bear, some days the bear gets you. So, if you're thinking in the lines of a defense attorney and that information comes to light, and then the defense attorney asks you, well, why didn't you follow up on this lead? So they're just following leads. I mean, I give them kudos for doing that. But you got to follow up on the leads, and you got to either dispel it or have it as more information to lead you down the road to further evidence.
Yeah.
Hey, my brother, welcome into the panel. How are you? Thank you for I'm glad to see you, man. How are you?
It's good to see you guys too. I've been waiting here, and this has nothing to do with the Nancy Guthrie case. I just have a question here for you guys.
Okay.
Shoot, man.
Why does it take so long? Like when a SWAT team surrounds the house, why does it take so long for them to enter the house? Like, and I understand it's like safety first. I get it. I really do. They make multiple over the loudspeaker, like we know you're in the house and stuff like that. Why is it? I mean, I'm saying hours. Like they had in my hometown here, it was like 12 to 14 hours before they entered the house. And I'll let you guys have the floor. I'll go ahead.
But we have had some that I'll give you an example. One that Jamie and I worked one time. It was with the FBI. It was a simultaneous search warrant on I don't know, was it 8 different places? JC?
Yes.
Well, and again, this isn't a knock on the FBI. This is just a knock on the FBI agent himself. He pulled up to the front of the house and he did what you were saying. Hey, this is the FBI. We know you're in there. And come out with your hands up. But the bad thing about that was he was in the line of fire. These people were murderers that we were after.
It's
And,
murderers. Got to use TikTok language.
oh, yep, you're right. What did you call him? Unaliver?
So I've been taught to say smurder.
Smurder. Okay, these were smurderers. And sorry about that. And we had already removed the individual in question and had him in handcuffs in the backyard. And we were just laughing because it was just so humorous at the time that, and he was still on the PA as we already had the guy. But most of the time, they're not going to make quick entry because they don't want to get shot just like anybody else. You know, they're going to try to use flashbangs or whatever if they're violent people and throw them off, then make entry. 13 hours. I don't know that I've ever seen anything like that before. Maybe you guys.
Yeah, if you guys remember, I don't know if you remember the Meadowwoods incident where the guy came in from, I think it was West Palm Beach. He'd robbed a mom and pop check cashing place. And we had intel that the felony squad was following up on that he may come to that area because there was a cousin or a family member of some sorts that lived in that area. So they staked out a racetrack or a shop and go or whatever it was. And sure enough, here comes the guy. Well, they tried to box him in. That didn't work out well. They got in a big shootout with him, and then it was a pursuit. And then he drove into the community and found the first open garage he could find.
Gotcha.
And that was, I don't know, 7 or 8 days. We had SWAT there on that one. And it was, trying to negotiate with him because he was holding hostages too. So, on those long-term ones, if the bad guy's in the house by himself, obviously they don't want to get in a shootout. And, SWAT nobody says, hey, I'm going to go kill somebody today. They try to bring them out peacefully and do the best they can with the flashbangs or loud noises or, try to convince him to bribe him to come out so that they don't hurt anybody. But it's, we've had long ones where SWAT's been involved for 4 or 5 hours sitting on a house or a business or whatever trying to get people in. So it's the totality of the times right now, because if they rush in, the media is going to say they're gun happy and they're just trying to kill somebody when that's not the case.
Gotcha.
That's a good question, my brother. We appreciate you coming up. And listen, man, I see you in the chat. You're like the chat master, man. You keep the chat moving. There's a lot of you guys in here, but you're here, so I want to acknowledge you. Thank you for everything you do for the community, the chat. You fire people up. You get people excited. You've been here since day one. We all see you, man. And thank you for the support and the great questions.
I try to do the best I can.
I got a good question for him. What are you holding, a snook?
Yeah.
That's a walleye.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I asked him that same thing the first time I met him.
He's got a boat. He says we can come go fishing.
Hey, I got a boat too.
We're trying to line things up. You're more than welcome to join the crew, man.
All right, I got a Go Fast bass boat.
Oh wow!
Man,
I
I'm
don't
gonna
know
get the other person
how
up.
to
Thank you,
bass
brother.
fish.
Yeah,
We appreciate you. We're gonna bring someone else up.
Thanks,
Okay.
bud.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Have a good one.
Jessica, thank you so much.
So I've been into like all these crime murder cases since the Kaylee Anthony case.
Right.
And I was on vacation with my daughter, and her parents actually came up to me and asked me if I've seen their granddaughter.
The Anthony's?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I told them no, like I'm visiting here from New Jersey. And it just like to this day, my daughter even remembers it. She's like, Mom, their parents came up to us because my daughter does have similarities to her. And
Right.
she's like, your daughter's so beautiful. We're just trying to look for my granddaughter who went missing. And then when I turned on the TV in the hotel, I'll never forget it. It was on Nancy Grace, and they were talking about the Kaylee Anthony investigation. But I have a question about this Nancy Guthrie case. A few questions. Why didn't they wash away the blood?
Well, that's not their job, unfortunately.
But doesn't the police have like a cleaning crew that comes and washes like blood at murder scenes?
No, that's up to the homeowner, unfortunately.
Oh,
It's
okay.
at least in Florida. That's what it is. It's once we release the scene, our part is done. In some circumstances, we may see we can't recommend anybody to do that kind of stuff. That if they come in and they screw it up, then they're going to blame the sheriff's office for what they did. So in some circumstances, we may call out the fire department. You'll see the fire department on car wrecks. They'll come out and they'll wash down the sidewalk or they'll wash down the road or stuff like that. But when it comes down to the residents, we don't do that. We just say, your insurance company can take care of it. If that's the case, contact them. That's what we tell them to do.
Okay. Now the other question is, it seems like everyone from around the world is into this case, and it's like we're doing more work than the cops are.
Correct. That's. I think that's kind of why this conversation exists, because we sit and we can hypothesize based on the experience that we've garnered over decades, and yes, that's all we're doing because we're not on the ground, we're not there, we don't know anybody there. I know some of the guys that you see on TV periodically, that are on the ground there, but we're just trying to say, all right, if this case was ours and we were working this case, this is how we would do it.
Yeah.
Now you're going to see. I don't know if you've got access to News Nation, but at 10 o'clock tonight on News Nation, the guy that has been out there from News Nation as the reporter is going to be interviewing one of the detectives that's come forward under disguise, and they've disguised his voice as well, and he's going to give you a full rundown on what went wrong with that case and why it went wrong with that case.
Oh, I need to watch that.
You need to watch that, which in 10 minutes I'm going to be off and I'm going to watch it myself.
And I also have
watch
one
it.
more thing to say. I have a feeling we as the people, we as the community, we as America, we're going to find her.
Of
It's not
course.
it's not going to be the detectives, it's going to be us.
Right.
Well, to interject into
Yeah.
this, you know what cops do? They sit there and they toss ideas off each other. That's how. I don't care what part of the law enforcement you're in, whether you're in homicide, you're in narcotics, you're in whatever. Everybody always just tosses things off of each other just to see, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And it's exactly what we're doing in here.
Right.
And one more thing. Is there a way we could bring a psychic to the scene and see if she feels anything?
I think there's already been one out there, come to think of it.
Did she feel anything?
I don't remember exactly what it was, but there's been a number of people that have gone out there. The most recent one I saw was they said she was a cold case detective, but technically she's really a crime scene technician type person. And she'd gone out there to actually look at the scene and identified some areas that were close by that she felt hadn't been searched and didn't see any evidence that they'd been searched, and was questioning why those particular areas had not been searched, which to me, that was, as we've been going forward with this case since, I've been involved since February, that's one of the first things we've all said is I feel it's really similar to the Casey Anthony case, to where her remains are going to be found within 2 to 3 square miles of her home. And they need to be, focused on searching those areas.
What about the lake?
If she was in the lake, she'd already surfaced. We talked about that earlier. I don't know if you were on earlier, but you can't really take a body and submerge it and hope that it's going to stay submerged. Now, if you remember the case out in California, I forget what the young lady's name was, where her husband killed her and she was pregnant, and tried to weigh her down. Well,
Yep.
bits and pieces of her torso floated to the
Oh
surface.
no. Nope.
So
Hey Jess,
what happens is,
real quick, how long have you been following the channel and where are you from?
I'm originally from New Jersey, but I live in South Carolina now. And I've been following you since the first day of this case.
I was
And
just looking through.
let me tell you
Yes.
something. I go through yours. Then once you get off, I go to, I think it's Dora, and then I go to, I don't know, some other guy, and I'm like, ooh. But then I have TikToks that'll pop up and it says she's found. And then I said, no, this isn't true. And I hop right on your page,
Right.
on
Well,
your page.
yeah,
I
somebody
remember
just
seeing
posted.
you, and I wanted to say thank you for sticking with us day one of this case. And I see you, Jess, and I appreciate you, and I'm grateful for you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I just saw somebody post it was Scott Peterson, and that's who I couldn't remember. The Peterson case.
Yep,
Yeah.
the Peterson case.
Yep. And
All
thank
right,
you
my
for
dear, thank you so much. I posted the link for that interview for News Nation in the chat, guys. I'll post it again before we leave. Jess, thank you for the follow. Thank you for the consistency, and more importantly, thank you for being vested in the Nancy Guthrie case. Couldn't do it without you guys.
You're welcome.
All right,
Yeah.
my dear, thank you.
Lacey Peterson. Tressa just
Lacey
put up there.
Peterson.
Lacey Peterson. Thank you, Tressa.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, Rick, I'm going to let you watch the interview. We're going to go watch the interview.
Okay.
Man, these people are amazing, Rick. They all should be. Rich says this all the time. We have the best cyber sleuths on TikTok here.
Yeah. That would be.
Um,
I mean, if we were offered the opportunity to go out there and work this case, on the PI side, that would be nice to be able to have these folks go, "Hey, here's what we're doing. What do you think?"
Wouldn't they
Like
make
Rich
tremendous
said.
analysts? There's some analysts here, man. I'm telling you, these folks are valuable, Rick and Rich.
Yeah. Like Rich said, it's like throwing stuff off everybody's chest. All right, we're doing this. What do you think? Is this worth our while to even look at? So.
Well, the ideas
Rick-
that I've heard are mind blowing. The things
Oh, yeah.
you just never think of,
Right.
and they make sense.
Rick, we started a Telegram chat. I'll send you the link in a text message after we get off. But
Sounds
man,
good.
once you get into that Telegram chat and see the actual work taking place behind the scenes of these folks, it's mind blowing, right, Rich?
Yep.
Very good. Cool, man.
All right, guys. Rick, thank you so much for your time. Take notes. Maybe we can do this tomorrow night if there's some earth-shattering news, and I think there will be from this anonymous source deputy.
Yeah.
Uh,
They're advertising it right now, says it's an exclusive. The Arizona
Thank you.
Insider.
Thank you,
I gotta
brother.
watch this.
We'll see you soon, and I'll send you that Discord, the Telegram chat.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Take
brother.
it easy.
Bye-bye.
Isn't he the best, Rich?
Yeah, he's good. I was dying to hear about the Deborah Allen Poe case. It's just it just always bothered me. Always
You
bothered me.
guys,
Same
real
thing.
quick, hold on, Rich. Please forgive me for interrupting you before Ricky gets off because he's going to watch it. Guys, light the room up with blue hearts for Rick. Show him some love. Show him that we appreciate him. I love every time Rick comes on. He just brings his freaking A game every time. So like to stand up with blue hearts for the next 20 seconds for Rick. Sorry to cut you off, Rich. I wanted to make sure Rick saw that.
No, you don't want me to have any blue hearts, do you? I'm just kidding.
Some blue hearts. Hey, we covered quite a bit tonight. You got some answers that you wanted to know on the Deborah Poe case.
Absolutely. It's always bugged me. Same thing with our old CI. Always wondered who got him.
Never done. I think my biggest takeaway on that Deborah Poe case is those guys would dig the unalived up and play with them.
I'm not sure I
That's
really
dumb.
wanted to hear that one. That's creepy.
That's just shocking.
How are you going to
All
find
right, guys.
two
I'm
brothers?
gonna post a link right now for News Nation on YouTube. Boom, there it is. That we can watch this. And Rich, that's
Thank you, Iowa farmer. What?
just disgusting. Dig bodies up and play with them. like they're dolls. I mean,
That one is probably one of the creepiest ones I've ever heard. Think about it, two brothers. How are you going to find two people, first of all? We've talked about this before. How are you going to have two people that happen to be serial killers? Because that's happened quite a few times. And you always wonder, like, do you walk up to the person and say, hey, I'm a serial killer. What do you do? How do you do that? And then now you have two brothers. One's a serial rapist and the other one's a serial killer. The chances of that ever happening again are probably next to zero. Have to be. And it's creepy.
Joyful wants to know if we're twins. I think I read that right.
we worked together enough. I mean, we pretty much were. I mean, we were around each other. Just good grief. The hours we worked were unbelievable, weren't they?
We spent more time together than our spouses.
Yes, easily. We would.
All right, we're
we
gonna
would
watch
work
this.
Sundays till 4 in the morning.
I want to watch this interview, Rich. Give me 3 of your most impactful takeaways of the live tonight. Give me 3 takeaways.
Well, one of them, it's kind of obvious. I mean, we've said it before. I just feel like there's a lot of things that could have been done in the Nancy Guthrie case that weren't done. Things that we picked out, like just say something as small as a doormat. You can't leave that stuff. I mean, you don't know. What if something fell off of his arm that had DNA on it? But now it's worthless because everybody and their grandmother has stepped on it. So,
Rich, they're giving you blue hearts. All right, guys, blue heart the
Thank
thing
you.
for Rich for the next 20 seconds. He feels bad. Let's see those blue hearts for Coco, guys. Somebody said the other day I pick on Coco too much. So,
who said
blue
that?
hearts
I
this thing
really
for Coco.
appreciate it because it's true.
Look at that, Rich. That's you. That's for you. Look at that,
See
Rich.
that?
They love you.
Thank you, guys.
Rich, do you think I pick on you too much?
You've always picked on me. He's
But I
picked,
keep
guys.
going-
He used to pick on me all the time when we worked together, and
Look at those hearts.
I see that.
They love you.
I got to tell you guys a story one night where he scared me to death, but I won't do it tonight because it's too late.
That's amazing, Rich. You have some love in this room, brother.
I got to tell him one night about your FBI thing that you pulled on me. You stopped my heart.
Here's the link, guys, for the News Nation thing on YouTube. Posting it now. All right, 2 more takeaways, Rich.
Well, I liked what I learned about the Deborah Allen Poe case because I've been wanting to pick his brain for a while about that case, and sounds like they know who it is. So that made my night, to be honest with you. And I don't know. I just think that the people in this room, the ideas you guys come up with,
Thank
I
you,
don't think
Cassie,
you
for the
even-
fan club. Thank you.
I don't think you realize that all these things that you throw out there that you think, oh, I don't want to put that out there because I'm embarrassed or whatever. All these ideas you come up with are the same things that we do to try to solve cases or used to do to solve cases. Exactly the same. And some of the things you guys have put out there, these investigators that are working the Nancy Guthrie case probably haven't even thought of them. I know a lot of them that I've heard I didn't think of, and I'd call Jamie on the phone afterwards and go, hey, did you hear that one? That's amazing. Never thought of that. And that's how you solve cases. So those are my 3 takeaways, and you guys are great.
Hayes, thank you so much. I see you. Thank you for the fan club. I humbled and grateful. Hayes, thank you. My goodness, these people are amazing, Rich.
Yep.
Thank you, Sam. Rich, I thoroughly love Rick and you both being on here. We miss Steve. Steve's playing hooky at a hockey game. So I'm
We're
glad
going to have
he
to
took
dock
the
his
night
pay.
off. Huh?
We're going to have to dock his pay.
Yeah, he deserves it. We weren't even supposed to go live tonight. This wasn't our regular night, but I wanted to bring Rick on to talk about this interview that's happening probably right now and kind of get that. And then we'll get Rick back on possibly tomorrow night if he's available to kind of give us his 30,000 view of that interview. Anything else, my brother? Have we covered it all?
I think we have. We better get on that show, see what's going on.
I'll call you directly. And guys, before we sign off, amazing, 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 amazing people. Every single one of you. I love. I got a text from my wife. She's like, "Hey, pay attention to your life." And if I was looking down, I was either chatting something or writing something on the chat or reading the chat. I keep this computer now right in front of the screen, and I can actually see the chat. So, guys, we had some amazing numbers tonight. We're at 391,000 K. Somewhere around 400 or 500, I think it was in here at one time. We're down to 3 something now. Well, I can't even read it for the lights. But this is you guys. It's not me. It's not Rich. It's not Rick. It's you guys being vested in these cases. You want to ask the hard questions. You want some answers. You want some potential answers. You want some theories. And that's why we continue to do this. I look forward to every single live, Rich. I get excited, don't you?
Yeah, I do, actually. I love hearing some of the hypotheses. I just love hearing them because I guarantee you there'll be another one that we haven't heard. And then you're like, wow, why did I not think of that one?
Guys, I'm going to post that YouTube link. I'm 90% sure it's the right link for the News Nation. With that, Rich, let's get off here and let the folks watch this on their own device so they can watch and listen. And guys, I'm humbled and thankful that you guys are here, vested. The new chat is starting to build, Rich. It's on fire already. And just the links in the bio, guys, for the Telegram chat. Join it. We're going to build that thing up, and we're going to start discussing these other cases. With that, guys, I am so humbled and grateful for all of you. And I'm also grateful for Rich, Steve, and Rick. I mean, those guys come on and they bring their expertise and their A game on every single live. So thank you guys for everything you do for the community. And Rich, you know what I'm going to do since they say I pick on you too much?
You're not going to be nice to me, so don't tell that
I'm
untruth.
going to let you close the live and the show out tonight. It's yours. Close it out. It's yours. Do whatever you want to do for the next 60 seconds so we can let them go. Your show.
Well, I know everybody's
Close this
dying to
out.
get on the News Nation to hear what this police officer has to say about his boss, and so am I. But thank you guys for all your different ideas, and we actually enjoy hearing them because you give us new ideas and give us new ways of thinking about things that I haven't. Some of these things you guys come up with, I've never crossed my mind, and it's actually really impressive. And like I've said before, we've worked with good cops, we worked with lazy cops, and a lot of you guys would be in the good pile. So you guys have a good night.
Guys, here's the link one more time. Someone said there was nothing on. I'm only assuming that's the link. Rick, I know you're probably watching in the background. Thank you. Rich, thank you. My brother from another mother.
Isn't that the truth?
And good night to everyone. Let's see if we can get this link to work and find this interview. And then we'll be back here tomorrow night, same time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.